Okay, but we're doctors, we want to see evidence, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite studies. And this came out of UW. And so what did they do? They took 287 emergency medicine residents, internal medicine residents, sort of all over the country, and they gave them clinical vignettes. Same vignette, and then they just changed the face of the person, whether black man or the white man or whatever. So they went through all the clinical vignettes, and then after that, they had the person report any explicit biases they might have, and then they had them take the implicit association test. And what did they find out? So no one reported any explicit self-biases. On average, people who were part of this study did have implicit bias in favor of white folks, so p-value quite small, 0.36. And the four things that they did were like white versus black, good versus bad. I think it was like cooperative patient versus uncooperative patient, but they all kind of generally said the same thing. What's fascinating is the vignette itself was someone who presented to the emergency room with the possibility of MI. And the question was, how likely do you think that they have an MI? And how likely would you recommend them to cath? Right? We know, door to balloon, door to balloon, door to balloon, that's our QI, right? So people were more likely to diagnose the black patient with coronary artery disease. It was a Likert scale of like 1 to 5, and so 5 being most likely, so 4.08 for black folks, 3.71 for white folks. And I interpret that as sort of like this learning that we get all the time that like black people have worse heart disease, right? They're more likely, so like, okay. But what's really strange about it is that they're only equally likely to give thrombolysis. So even though they're more likely to diagnose it, they were equally likely to recommend the treatment that we think is first line. And what was really interesting is these graphs, so just take a second to unpack it. So folks who had a low amount of implicit bias on the left side, folks with a high amount of implicit bias on the right side, and likelihood to treat with thrombolysis. White is the solid line, black is the dotted line. You can see people with low degrees of implicit bias were more likely to recommend for thrombolysis than people with higher degrees, right? This was appropriate. If you are diagnosing more people, black people with MI, you're supposed to be recommending it more, right? And so there's a direct correlation between how much your implicit bias exists in you and what you decide that you think is appropriate medically. How many people have been or have heard of the Black Lives Matter movement? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people? Keep your hands up. How many people have been have like signed a petition about the Black Lives Matter movement? Okay. How many people have gone to a protest or helped organize? Okay. So a fair number of people were all kind of involved. One study looked at the lower revascularization rate in minorities, right? And so in African Americans, there was an 18% increased rate of mortality over 5 years. 5 years is a short amount of time for coronary artery disease, right? If we consider that over 19 million people in this country have coronary artery disease, right, and we are systematically denying interventions that cause mortality, this number is astonishing, right? The FBI estimates that 200 to 500 black people are killed every year by a white police officer. This number is paltry, right? Like the Black Lives Matter movement should be like banging at the healthcare institution's door, right? But no one talks about that.